Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida, and I'm having a little bit of internet delay, so we might have to just switch to one platform and not have both up. Um, but we'll give it a little bit of time. We'll see how we're doing. If you're new to my content, I am always sharing ways to help you heal physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. This is book club. It is Monday, and we are currently studying The Untethered Soul. The Untethered Soul is a very practical guide that Mickey Singer has and has written. I absolutely love this work and love what he's put together here. And so we've had a blast discussing it. We're on chapter 3 each week. We're talking about a different chapter. And hey Marie, hey everybody over there. I don't know why I'm having difficulty today. It looks like on Facebook with the streaming. So everybody on Facebook, we might just have to go to Instagram. We'll see. Instagram, am I coming through clear? Oh, look at that. It thumbs up me. Let me know, guys. And if it's not, I don't know what we're gonna do. I might have to just record it and post it, but I wanna do this live with you. So if you are joining us for book club, it's coming through clear. Okay, great. We read chapter 3 this past week. If you want to join in with us and read week to week, just let me know. There's a Telegram channel. It's kind of where I put the assignment, or you can just stay tuned with the videos each and every week. And if you're not reading the book, that's okay. You can just jump in on these discussions. These discussions are things that would be able to help you just in your day-to-day, regardless of if you follow the whole book. What's Marie saying? Wouldn't come up on Facebook, but it's good here. Yeah, I wonder, is anyone here on Facebook? I see a couple people, so it looks like it is going. I don't know. We're going to just rock with it. I've got it recording also, so if something happens, we will still have it, and I'll be able to put these up on YouTube, as I always do, so you can catch it later. All right, so Mickey Singer really started this chapter. The chapter is called Who Are You? Okay, good. So Karen, it's working over there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience with the technical stuff. I don't know what's going on. So this question, he really said in this entire chapter is really about pondering this one question. And he refers to a yogi. And this spiritual teacher in the yogic tradition said, look, you don't need to study ancient texts. You don't need to do a lot of work. If you really want to get inner freedom, if you really want to look at how to master the inner dimensions of life, you need to ask yourself a very simple question. And that question is, who am I? And so he taught things like to ask, well, who am I? Who sees when I see? Who hears when I hear? Who knows that I am aware? Who am I? And this is really what this entire chapter dove into. And I don't know if you guys appreciated it as much as I did with how Mickey kind of did this, because he said, let's do an experiment. I want you to pretend you're talking to somebody. And when talking to this person and you say, well, who are you? Right? It's a normal thing. Tell me about yourself. Who are you? And everyone's initial response is to say, oh, I'm Danielle Matthews. Right? I'm whatever. Put your name in the chat. This is me. Who are you? I am Danielle Matthews. If you want my full name, it's Danielle Fusco Matthews. Little side tangent. Fusco is my mom's maiden name, and it's Italian. I thought it was so special, and then I went over to Italy, and I'll tell you what, Fusco is like Smith over there. Okay? That name is everywhere. It was like the name of the bus company that we were on with our tours and stuff, which was funny. So he says, okay, but are you really your name? So let's write it down. D-A-N-I-E-L-L-E. You're telling me that you're these letters? And at first I was like, no, obviously, like this is like silly. What's he getting at here? But it's powerful, right? How he takes you through this process. And it's like, well, no, I'm obviously more than a bunch of letters being put together. And then in this example, he says, this woman says, well, I'm so-and-so's wife. And how do you identify yourself? I'm so-and-so's mother, husband, daughter, right? How are you talking about yourself in relation to others? And so he says, oh, so you didn't exist before you were this person's wife? And it's like, no, clearly you were there before you got married. You were there before you had kids, right? You were there before all of this. And so then who are you? Right? We've learned that you're not your name. You're not just the wife. Like, well, then who are you? And he just keeps asking this question, right? And you think about if you were just to ask somebody or get into this conversation, like this is the direction most of us would go. We would then go, oh, well, hang on, let me share with you, I grew up in Maryland. I played sports. I loved softball. I went to the University of Virginia. I graduated. I taught for a few years. Then I sustained a brain injury, and now I'm an entrepreneur. And like you share this whole spiel, right? You share this entire spiel. Oh, Maria's saying, you know what? This was interesting because when my kids left, I struggled with who I was because I was this mom for so long, right? They call it empty nesters, right? Empty nesters. Like we have this term for it, but what is it? Well, they've identified with that role for so long that when they no longer have to play that role, be that role, they don't know who they are anymore. It's a big thing. For me, when my car accident happened, I didn't know who I was, because my whole life I had been the one that excelled in sports, had excelled in school, right? I gave to my community. I was a great teacher, like all of these things. And then when my car accident happened, I couldn't work. I was told I could never snowboard again. I was in a dark room. I couldn't hang out with people. I was feeling overwhelmed, so I couldn't do anything because light and noise were too much. So I was alone with myself, and it was like, well, who am I? I was pondering this to myself, can you imagine being alone with your inner roommate for a year? Like, you get to have these conversations, and maybe none of you have slowed down enough to have them, or perhaps you have, right? Like Marie said, it started for you when your kids left. Well, who am I? Like up to that point where I got a job, I got married, I had kids, I was a great mother, they're gone. Uh-oh. Now what? Right? Who am I without them? And so, in this, Angela's saying, yeah, that empty nest comment. Yeah, totally agree. So in this, I loved how Mickey kind of said, oh, okay, so you're telling me all these things, right? And the woman's talking about when she was born and where she went to college and all this stuff. And he says, okay, so that's what's happened since you were born, right? You're telling me about your past, but who had those experiences? Wouldn't you still be you if you had gone to a different college? Like, is your past really who you are? And if you sit with that, this is big because so many of us identify with who I am as my past accomplishments or how I'm showing up in the world and how I'm giving to the world or who I am in relation to another, right? And so this lady stops and thinks and is like, okay, fine. I get what you're getting at. Yes, you're right. I'm not my past. I'm not just the wife. I'm not just my name. She says, I am. And she gives her height and her weight. I'm this body. I'm 5'8". I'm 135 pounds or whatever it was. And it seems reasonable, right? Well, who are you? Well, look, this is me. You want to know? Look at my physical being. This is me. That's what she gets at. And he says, but wait, when you were in 5th grade, weren't you a shorter version of you? Weren't you maybe 4'8"? Were you not you in 5th grade then? And it's these questions, they seem so basic, but it's wow, to really unpack this, if you ask yourself this question and you allow yourself to go deeper and deeper and deeper, you really stop and go, well, hang on a second. When I was 10 years old and I looked in the mirror, I saw a child. Now when I look in the mirror, I see an adult. But it's the same me looking in the mirror. Anyone ever notice that? I remember my grandfather, when he was getting older, he was taking a flight and he was trying to put his bag up in the overhead space. And this passenger stood up and said, don't worry, sir, I'll help you, and took his bag and put it up. And he said thank you, and he sat down and he went, oh, I'm that old man now? His shoulders couldn't get it up there. He didn't have the strength to do it. Someone saw it and said, oh, I'm going to help this man. In his head, right, he was still the younger version of him that could do all of those things. And, I haven't hit this yet, but I've heard many people say it. I work with a lot of people in their 50s and 60s, helping them to live younger, longer, right, through redox, and it's a gift to this world. But, so many of them say, I think I can run up the stairs like I used to. I think I can work out like I used to, and I'm not the same person, right? My body has shifted, but there's some awareness that hasn't shifted. It's not aging, right? It's just there. Yeah, it's just there. I love the comments coming in. So, he then gets at, all right, let's pull back a little bit, because we kind of been like diving into this who am I question a lot. And he says, I want you to consider when you fall asleep at night and you dream. Put a 1 in the chat if you had a dream last night. Who was dreaming last night? I had a very strange dream. Like, it's funny because I don't remember all the details of it, but I woke up with a song in my head because the song was playing in the dream. So, where is everybody? No one had a dream last night? You guys must be a little delayed. Okay, yeah, it's all just a little delayed. So we all dream, right? When we sleep, we dream. And thank you, Kevin. And so Mickey says, well, who dreams? Right? Who is it? Hey, Fritz. Who is the one that's dreaming? And like, I've never actually asked that question. I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's just the mind going, like, I don't know what it is. And so then Mickey says, well, who's the one watching it? Who's watching the dream happen? Isn't there some continuity of consciousness from the one who's watching the dream to the one that then just wakes up? Like, you wake up and you saw it. Like I just said, I woke up and I was singing the song that was happening in my dream. If you are the one looking at something, it can't be you, right? He has this whole conversation about like the subject object. You cannot be it. If you're looking at it, it can't be you. But we have these inner experiences, right? We have dreams. So what is that? Right? But we also have a ton of emotions. So are you your emotions? Well, the emotions can take over like intensely, can they not? Like, they can really take over to the point where like it's all you see. But what he kind of gets at is that that awareness can be drawn externally out into the world. Like he's talking about watching a dog running and playing. And then you hear like a rattle behind you and some slithering, and you're like, all of a sudden you're in a fear state because you think a snake is behind you, and all you're absorbed with is the fear. Like, the dog's still out there running, doing its thing, but you're no longer aware of that. Your awareness is now internally on your own fear. And that sometimes feels more real. Like, put a 2 in the chat if that feels more real. Like, do your emotions feel more real to you than anything else in the external world? That's why we get identified with them so much. It's why so many of us get pulled around by our emotions, because they do feel real. They feel like, oh, that's me. I'm the one that's upset. I'm the one that's jealous. I'm the one that's angry. I'm the one that's happy. I'm the one that's laughing and joyful. I'm all of these things. Yeah, most of us get identified there. But he says there's internal things and there's external things, and they compete for your attention. But who are you? Who are you that's aware of the external and aware of the internal? And he says, you know what? The internal can even be quiet. Like, the great philosophers, what was his name? Rene, I can't even find it right now. But I think, therefore I am, right? That phrase, like this philosophy that, yes, I think, therefore I am. Because I have thoughts, I exist. But how many of you have ever done a meditation? I know those of you that have done my inner management mastery, we talk about this a ton. This is the tool that I give you to go beyond the mind. To go, oh, I'm not my emotions. I'm not even my thoughts. In fact, I can actually choose if I want to have these thoughts or emotions, right? I am the witness behind it all. So you can actually go into a meditation and high five me, put a 5 in the chat. Who has gone into a meditation and just been at such peace? There was nothing, just inner peace. No other thing, no thoughts. Like, you were aware that there were no thoughts. And again, like Mickey's just pointing out here that, I know his name's Michael Singer, but people call him Mickey Singer, so I'm gonna call him Mickey. He's pointing out that this philosopher is wrong because I think, therefore I am. Well, in a meditation, you're not thinking, and you're aware of the fact that you're not thinking. You're aware of the inner peace. You're aware of the stillness. You're aware of all of this. And it's really a powerful place to be, right? He says, I highlighted it here on page 26, I went into this deep meditation, and for the first time, my thoughts completely stopped. I was in a place of complete peace, harmony, and quiet. If you are in there experiencing peace that occurs when your thoughts stop, then obviously your existence is not dependent upon the act of thinking. So that's not you. So that's not you. All right? Emotions come and go, thoughts come and go. You are the one that experiences them, right? You are the one that is remaining aware. This is the big thing. And like, how many of you have ever said, like, my mind is driving me crazy? I have. Like, my mind, before my car accident, my mind was constantly on. Like, it never stopped. I was thinking about 100 things. Like, when he was talking about last week, when, like, if you like envisioned your inner roommate as a person, and I love that Lou like names the person. It has different names based on what it's doing. Lou, that like had me laughing. If you're in Telegram, check the chat because she was talking about it in Telegram. But you know, I was that like inner roommate that was just like never ever freaking stopped. And then when my accident happened, I got to the point about a year in where I was like, these thoughts are terrible, you know, to the point where I was like, I don't want to be on this planet if I have to live with these thoughts. And, you know, the physical health issues I was having. And I just thought, I got to get rid of them. You know, I have got to do something about this. And I loved, it was top of page 27, if you want to be with me. He says, these situations when the mind just won't shut up, he says, ask yourself, whose mind? Who is noticing these thoughts? Isn't it you? Don't you hear your thoughts inside? Aren't you aware of their existence? In fact, can't you even get rid of them? Who is it that is aware of the thoughts? And who is it that is struggling with them? You have a subject-object relationship here. And he says, okay, so when you get to this point in the exercise, you become pretty aware. This is when this, you know, Sally Smith says, well, fine. I'm not anything in the outside world, and I'm not my emotions. These outer and inner objects, they come and they go, and I just experience them. Plus, I'm not my thoughts. They can be quiet or noisy, happy or sad. Thoughts are just something else I'm aware of. But then she says, but wait, well, who am I? Like now she's like, okay, I understand all these things that I'm not, but that doesn't answer the question of who I am. Right? Christy says, thank goodness for redox mood. It shuts off my mind. It does. It very much helps with calm. It very much does. Or it turns down the volume. Yeah, redox mood. If you need help with overwhelm, anxiety, whatever, there are definitely some botanical blends that can help. But coming back to this, he says, this becomes a really serious question now, where it's like almost like you have this existential crisis, this dilemma of like, well, yeah, like who am I? This is what I went through after my car accident. I was like, well, I'm not all of these things that I thought I was with how I was showing up in the world, and I'm not my thoughts because I can turn them off. And I started meditating and I started going to a place beyond my thoughts, and it was like, well, what's there? Like, what is that? What is that I'm dropping into? What is this that's aware of all of this? Like, what is that? And Mickey says, eventually you will get to the point within yourself where you realize that you, the experiencer, have a certain quality. And that quality is awareness, consciousness, an intuitive sense of existence. And he says, consciousness, like do this experiment right now, look away from me and look around the room. Like just take in the room that you're in. You took the whole thing in, didn't you? It took seconds. You looked, there it is. How long would it take you to type in the chat what you saw? How long would it take you to just like speak what you saw in the room? How long would it take you to think about what you saw? Forever. But consciousness is just aware. It takes nothing. It's just boom, it's there, right? I looked over, I saw all the fruit, all the plants, all the everything that's over on this side of the room. I looked that way, I saw all the furniture, all the everything, the intricate designs, all of it. Instantaneously. That's consciousness. When you just look without creating thoughts, your consciousness is effortlessly aware of and fully comprehends all that it sees. Consciousness is pure awareness. But then what is awareness, right? Angela says, still getting over the fact that my dreams are not mine if I witness them. Yeah, right, Angela? It's like, hang on a second. What's going on? I think this is an interesting, I would love to hear. Before we finish this, let's get on that topic. Like, what do you think dreams are? I've thought about this a lot because it's like, okay, well, they're not me. Like, I'm witnessing them, and sometimes you can be an active participant in them. You can decide like, no, it's my dream. I want to do this. When you start to become more aware and more in touch, you can do that. It's wild. So Angela, again, she said, I'm still getting over the fact that my dreams are not mine if I witness them. So then what are they? I sometimes think it's just like this incredible mind of ours processing, like trying to file information, trying to process things that maybe haven't emotionally integrated, right? Sometimes we have reoccurring dreams. Like, this is fascinating to me. I've had a reoccurring dream now for years with a certain person. And I'm like, what is the deal here? It's probably something that is needing like processing, right? That I'm not able to do when I'm awake. So if anyone's got any theories, I want to hear them. Let's see. I'm not sure because when they are nightmares, what does that mean? Because I wake up like I was in them. Yeah, but you were witnessing them. It's kind of like watching a movie. You can like cry from a movie. I turned on something last night. Amazing. I don't know if any of you watched Lex Friedman podcast or listen to them. He interviewed a guy that's just got out of jail. He's a con man. And it was a 6-hour podcast. And I sat there. My boyfriend like suggested that we watch something. He said, hey, I saw a little clip of this. I think we'll like it. Let's just watch a minute of it. We turned it on. We were glued to this thing for 6 hours. I've never sat and watched 6 hours of something, but it was like boom, emotionally invested in this, the ups and the downs, the intensities, the sad parts, the same thing can happen with nightmares. You just get totally invested in these things. All right. So, the dream thing, send me messages on this because if you know about that, we can talk about that more. All right. So, the other thing, when comes to awareness, he said, what would it be like if awareness didn't exist? So he had us say, look, picture that you're in a room with a piano and people. Now, get rid of the piano. Are you okay? Yeah, you're okay. You don't care if the piano's there or not. Okay, get rid of the people. Are you okay? Okay, maybe it's a little lonely, but I can handle being alone. Yeah, I'm okay. And he says, well, now get rid of you. Are you okay? And it's like, well, I'm not there. There's no one there to know if I'm okay or not. If you get rid of awareness, nothing's left. There's nothing to be aware of a piano or the absence of a piano, or the aware of people or the absence of it, or, aware of your own presence or absence, right? That's what awareness is. And he says it's actually pretty simple, right? You wouldn't be there. There wouldn't be anyone there to say, wow, I used to be in here and now I'm not. And so the answer comes to, with this question that we've been pondering, the answer comes to, I am the one who sees. From back in here somewhere, I look out and I am aware of the events, thoughts, and emotions that pass through me. And I'm going to read this because I think this is so profound. If you go very deep, that is where you live. You live in the seat of consciousness. A true spiritual being lives there. Many of you have probably heard the phrase, a spiritual being having a human experience. That's what he's getting at. If you really ponder this question enough, you can't help but reach this conclusion. There is no other conclusion that is possible. And every great religion has gotten there to the same thing. All spiritual studies get here. You're a spiritual being. A spiritual being lives there without effort, without intent. Just as you effortlessly look outside and see all that you see, you will eventually sit far enough back inside to see all of your thoughts and all of your emotions, as well as the outer form. All of these objects are just in front of you. The thoughts are closer to you, which is why we thought we were them, right? The emotions are a little further out. We know we're not just anger. We know it comes and goes. We know we're not just happiness. We know it comes and goes, right? They're a little further out. The forms outside of us are much further out. We know we're not those things. But behind it all, there you are. You go so deep that you realize that's where you've always been. At each stage of life, you have seen different thoughts, emotions, and objects pass before you, but you have always been the conscious receiver of all that was. And he says, this is the seat of the Buddhist self, of the Hindu Atman, and of the Judeo-Christian soul. The great mystery begins once you take the seat deep within. Once you get in touch with that. That's where it all begins. Powerful. I don't know how anyone could walk through asking this question and not arrive at that conclusion. If you're having challenges with that or grappling with that, let's have a discussion in the Telegram group. This is really powerful. And it's like it all begins once you open and realize this. And that's really where it all starts. And that's why, for those of you that have taken mastery, I see many of you on here, like that's what we talk about in Inner Management Mastery. How to manage the mind, the emotions, all the stuff that's getting in the way of you connecting in with this essence, this soul, this Atman, this self that is there, consciousness, awareness. And then you get to explore, well, what is that? What is that? And that's powerful. So I believe that's where we're going with the next part of the book. And I believe we'll just read chapter 4. I think that's just how we're gonna go at this book. It's just a chapter a week. It seems to do it. Yeah, and that finishes part 1. So we'll just finish up chapter 4, which doesn't look like too long of a read. So maybe we'll have time for more discussion. Yeah, page 31 to page 38. Yeah, that's like nothing at all. But this stuff is deep. It takes a half hour to unpack it. All right. Well, guys, if you got value from this, share it to your page, tag a friend. Like, people need to understand this concept because this is what sets them free, right? As that great yogic teacher said, asking this one question, who is it that sees? You know, who is it that hears? That is the question that sets you free internally because that answers everything. You go, oh, I'm not all of this. Boom, I'm this consciousness. And then a lot more questions like open up, right? It's so deep. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me. And we will be back on Monday to discuss chapter 4. Until then, have a fabulous week.